Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real Talk Circle, sacred conversations for everyday life. I'm your host, Imbe Thompson, and I'm so grateful you decided to pull up a seat with me again. If this is your first time here, welcome to the circle. And if you listened to our first conversation, thank you for coming back. In our last episode, we talked about why we need real conversations again. And we talk about creating spaces where we can be honest, where we don't have to pretend, perform, or carry everything silently. And I ended up with a question. What conversation have you been avoiding with yourself lately? And today, I just want us to sit with that a little longer. Because sometimes the hardest conversation is not the one we need to have with somebody else. Sometimes the hardest conversation is the one we need to really have with ourselves. The one where we ask, why am I really doing this? Really? What am I afraid of? Am I moving from purpose or am I moving from pressure? Because trust me, those conversations are not always easy to have. Sometimes we avoid them because honesty requires us to face things we would rather overlook. Sometimes we stay busy because slowing down means we have to pay attention to what's really going on or happening on the inside. Sometimes we keep pushing because stopping feel like failure. It does, you know. Sometimes, yeah, it does feels like failure. But what if stopping is not failure? What if sometimes slowing down is wisdom? Yeah, think about that. I've had to learn this in my own life. As an entrepreneur, as someone who has been in the beauty industry for many years, building my own brand, working with different people, having opportunities open up, there were moments where from the outside, everything looked successful. People may see the accomplishments, they see the highlights, they see the opportunities. But what they don't always see are the decisions behind the scenes, the rebuilding seasons, the moments where you question things, the moments where you have to go back to the drawing board. And one honest conversation I had to have with myself was, am I moving from purpose or am I moving from pressure? Because sometimes you can have a real dream, a real vision, and still feel pressure around that vision. Especially now with social media. You see people building. You see people growing. You see people walking in places that look like the dreams you carry. And if you're not careful, you start measuring your timing with somebody else's journey. And that's a dangerous place to build from. Because comparison can create urgency that wisdom never asked for. Let that sink in for a second. Urgency that wisdom never asked for. Let's break down what that actually feels like. Because pressure likes to wear a mask and pretend it's purpose. Pressure is loud. It tells you, if you don't do it right now, you're going to miss your chance. Pressure makes you look over your shoulders at everyone else. It leaves you feeling anxious, depleted, and heavy. But purpose has a different pace. Purpose tells you what is for you will not pass you for sure. What is for you, it is for you. We all know that song or that saying. Purpose focuses on depth, not just speed. It brings a sense of alignment and peace, sweet peace, even when the work is hard. So I want to ask you, which one has been driving your bus lately? Purpose or pressure? There were seasons where I wanted to move quickly. I wanted the next level badly. The bigger space, the bigger opportunity. The things I knew were in my heart to build. And don't get me wrong, the vision was not wrong. The dream was not wrong. But I had to ask myself, is this the right time? Am I prepared for what I'm praying for? Am I trying to build something lasting? Or am I trying to prove something? And those questions changed my perspective. Because I realized something. Waiting does not mean I gave up. Pausing does not mean I failed. Sometimes you're not quitting. Sometimes you're recalibrating. Sometimes you're preparing. Sometimes you're gathering wisdom for the things you're going to carry later. And that's where I found myself. I still believe in the vision. I still believe in the dream. But I want to build something that lasts. Not just something that looked successful from the outside. Something healthy. Something stable. Something that can impact people beyond me. And sometimes that requires patience. Sometimes that requires sitting with yourself and having those uncomfortable conversations. And, maybe your situation isn't a business like me. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a career decision. Maybe it's ministry. Maybe it's family. Or maybe it's a dream you've been carrying. But the question is still the same. Am I moving from purpose or am I moving from pressure? Because avoidance doesn't always look like doing nothing. Sometimes avoidance looks like staying busy, starting more things, pouring into everyone else while ignoring what's happening on the inside, helping everybody else process while never sitting with your own thoughts. And eventually, we have to create room for honesty. Because real growth starts with real conversations, even the ones we have with ourselves. So today, I want to leave you with this. What conversations have you been avoiding with yourself? What truth have you been too busy to acknowledge? And what would happen if you gave yourself permission to slow down and listen? Maybe write it down. Maybe pray about it. Maybe sit with it. No pressure. Just begin. If this question sparks something in you today, don't carry it alone. I want to hear from you. Leave a comment on Spotify, or if you're on YouTube, text a screenshot of this episode to a friend who really needs to slow down today, or connect with me on social media. Let's keep the conversation going in the circle. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Real Talk Circle. I'm so grateful you pulled up a seat today. Until next time, pull up the seat again. There's room in the circle.